One strange afternoon, as I was walking home, I happened upon a man standing alone in the front yard of his home. There was something off about him, like he was in a trance. I approached to check if he was okay when I noticed the orange cat sitting on the porch with those big, staring eyes. Of course, I asked the man if he was okay and if there was anything I could do to help. He just gave this sad smile and told me he was just like me once. Confused, I asked him what he meant by that. Me, the everyman, just your average, ordinary guy without a care in the world. A man who loved his pets and would have done anything for them. Anything. I really would have, And I did, in fact. Anything they wanted, especially him. My eyes were drawn to the cat on the porch again. Something was wrong. Something about this whole situation, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Somehow, I got the sense something terrible had happened here, or was about to happen. The strange man looked like he might cry. He refused to turn around and look at the cat. I was curious about this whole situation, even though some part of me was screaming to get out of there. Why don't you just tell me the whole story from the beginning? Maybe I can help you out here. The man laughed, a laugh that sounded afraid. I'll tell you the story, the whole story, but you can't help me. It might even be too late for you to help yourself. My name is John Arbuckle. At least that's what it used to be. Back when I was still in control, when I could think freely for myself, before I became just a puppet, before him. I'd been coming home from work just like any other day. My house was in a quiet neighborhood on an empty street. No cars, no people around. Silence. Not the calming, quiet, free from the hustle and bustle of the city, but a cold, chilling stillness. As I walked up to the front porch, there he was, just sitting, waiting for me like any other day. Garfield, my ginger cat. He was notoriously lazy, just a layabout who loved nothing more than to sit and watch the TV and eat to his heart's content. Before I could ask what he was doing sitting outside alone, he said, "I lost my key. Can you find it?" Without questioning him, I started to search, looking around the outside of the house. The garage door at the front of the hatch to the basement around the back of the house were both locked. My only real other option for places to look was the kennel out back. Perhaps Odie, my dog, had taken the key. I hadn't seen or heard him anywhere. He wasn't out in the yard, and I couldn't even hear his barks coming from inside the house either. Maybe he was just sleeping, I let myself think. Inspecting the kennel, I felt uneasy. Inside was dark, and I kept getting the sense that something might suddenly grab my arm when I reached in. That is, until I found something. Not the key, and certainly not Odie, but the remote to open the garage door. Perfect, I thought. I couldn't find the key anywhere outside, so it must have been in the house. Now I could just open up the garage, get indoors, and find the key for Garfield. Walking back around to the front of the house, I hit the button to open the garage. "No!" Garfield suddenly yelled, getting up and standing between me and the garage door, shutting it. "Do not open the garage." It was only now that he stood up that I spotted something on the porch. The key. He'd been hiding it the whole time. It didn't work on the front door, but luckily I was able to unlock the hatch around the back of the house. I wasn't sure if I fell in there by accident or if I was pushed, but the next thing I knew, I was in the dark basement, with Garfield looking down at me from above. "Oh no. While you're down there, I need you to do something for me. My master has made a mess and drawn all over the walls. You can cover it up using spray paint." I should have stopped then and realized how strange the whole situation was. I was Garfield's owner, his master, if you will. Wasn't I? I never questioned what he said, almost like I had no choice. Was I playing along, trying to be helpful? Or did I even have a chance? Grabbing a can of spray paint, I started to cover the strange sigils that somebody had scrawled on the walls. Searching through the basement, I found a cage in one corner. A cage too big to be for a dog or a cat, and inside were drawings, scribbled in crayon on paper with a picture of the cage with the words, "Stay inside, safe inside," followed by scribbles of an angered cat on the next page which said, "Bad kitty, don't look." After covering up all the sigils, I had another instruction from Garfield delivered over a walkie-talkie I found in the basement. "My master is keeping something of mine in the safe down there. Get it for me." There was a sequence of numbers scribbled down with the drawings, and to my luck, it turned out they were the combination for the safe. But the second I opened it, A sudden squawking command came through the walkie.
Hurry! Take the relic and hide!
Without question, I grabbed what was inside the safe and ran, rushing into an empty metal cabinet and closing both its doors behind me. The sound of footsteps wandered menacingly around me, but no matter where I peeked, I couldn't see anyone. Almost like this was being done just to taunt me. And yet, I'd still stay hidden, because I was told to. Exiting my hiding place, I was free to go upstairs and finish covering up the remaining sigils drawn on the walls. In the kitchen was a calendar. Today's date was circled, Monday, the 31st of October, followed by a series of tally marks. There were too many to count, trailing off the calendar and all the way down the wall. Had I lived through today before? How many times? How long had it been Monday? In the bathroom, somebody had smashed the mirror, and on the wall wasn't a symbol. It was a message. I am not the master. After I read through the rest of the scrawlings, I returned to the front room of the house.
Good. Now throw the relic into the oven.
And of course, I did what I was told, almost like I couldn't help myself. I had an objective, and I carried it out. I remembered the oven bursting into flames as I threw the relic inside. Everything suddenly went back to normal. Garfield was sitting lazily watching TV in an armchair. Odie was outside, and on the counter was a lasagna, ready to go in the oven. It was as if no time had passed at all. Maybe none had. The lasagna. The oven. Of course, I needed to cook. I needed to feed Garfield. Without a thought, I placed the lasagna in the oven. A timer started. 2 hours, plenty of time.
When the timer is done, take out the lasagna. Until then, you can put your toys away.
Of course, Garfield was right. The house was a mess. I spent the next few minutes gathering up everything that was lying around on the floor and tidying them away in a box. When I was done, I heard Garfield say,
"That stupid dog has been digging in the yard. Go see what he's buried. You'll need the shovel in the garage."
As I reached for the doorknob, I realized the door to the garage was locked.
"I remember seeing the key on the other side of the hall."
Walking back down the hallway, I quickly realized the far wall where the key had been hanging seemed to have disappeared. All that beyond was darkness, like a room of pure shadow, filled with uncertainty. I jumped into the dark further and further until I eventually managed to find the key. Picking it up, I found myself back in the house and headed over to the garage to grab a shovel. Outside, I found Odie beaming at me. He had left a series of 4 craters in the lawn, so I set about doing what I had been told to. Digging up the first 3 holes in the ground, I found the typical things you'd expect an excitable, playful yellow pup like Odie to bury. A ball, a bone, the newspaper. Then I came to the 4th hole. There was blood and a body, Odie's body. Suddenly, Garfield appeared in the yard, screeching at me.
"You burned the lasagna!"
There had been so much time left. 2 hours had ticked down to 0 in the blink of an eye. Or had I really been outside digging for that long? Smoke had started billowing up out of the windows of the house, and Garfield. He wouldn't stop screaming. It sounded warped and distorted like static on the TV. Then everything went dark again. When I came to, I was in a car, looking at an abandoned house. Garfield was nowhere to be seen, but I could still hear his voice in my head.
"Our new home. I found us someplace quiet to stay."
I had started to realize this was a memory, sometime before all this had started. I asked how long I had been out, and how long we'd be staying. I didn't get an answer. Searching around, this house was empty and in a state of disrepair. Doors were falling off their hinges, there were boards blocking up the windows, and all the lights were out. When I made it back outside, I called to the car. "Whose place is this?"
"It is ours now. Nobody is coming back here."
"What does that mean?" Still no answer. "How long was I out?" The same silence. "What did you make me do this time?" No reply. I'd started to piece it together. This was before he had fully taken control, back when I still had the strength to fight him off, before he made me live through the same Monday over and over again. I wandered back into the house, into the bathroom. Standing at the sink, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Then the screeching started again. The bathroom mirror had shattered. The words, "I am not the master," had appeared on the wall. I must have scrawled them there myself. And I was right. I wasn't the master. I wasn't in control. He was.
"You will not question your master. I had you write yourself a reminder to remember your place."
Then Garfield told me what to do next. I left the house, drove to someone else's address. I cut the phone line, distracted their guard dog, broke in, and I had to do what Garfield said. By this point in the story, I was astounded and horrified. Had John just confessed to murder? Had he claimed that his cat made him do it? This was deranged. I suddenly realized I might be in the presence of a genuinely dangerous man, but for some reason, I couldn't will myself to run away. I tried to keep him calm and asked why Garfield would make him do this. Because he can. He wants people to do his bidding, to feed him, clean for him, to serve him. Putting me through all this was his way of breaking me, getting me so used to following his commands that it became natural, inescapable. I've been trapped in that house for so long that it's become all I've ever known, listening to Garfield doing exactly as he says. I tried to talk some sense into the guy, but he just couldn't seem to understand me. I told him to be calm. I told him that perhaps it'd be best to turn himself into the police. He just shook his head. I was starting to get worried. For my own safety and John's sanity, I asked him why he never just left the house, and in response, he asked me why I hadn't left yet, and I didn't know. I didn't know why I hadn't left. I turned and looked at the cat on the porch again. Garfield. He was looking at me. I couldn't move. Had he always been looking at me? It's not just me he's in control of. My mind, my memories. This whole place is his to control. And the more people he brings in, the more of us he controls, the stronger he'll become. Nothing can stop him. Now, tell me, what do you remember, friend? I must have been walking back home from work, same as every day. Of course. Go on, John. He's sitting on the porch waiting for you.